Today on Locked On Phoenix Suns, the Suns try to get revenge on the Lakers. But first, how much of Devin Booker's odd start on both ends of the court is worth worrying about? We'll break it down next.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Suns. I'm Brendon Kleen, a staff writer at Awful Announcing and a credentialed Suns media member. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen to kick off your week. Don't forget, Locked On Suns, free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button. Do what thousands of other Suns fans have already done. Become an everydayer and get locked onto the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Today's episode, guys, brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. Start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place a $5 bet and get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Joining me, as always, the executive producer of The Drive on Fox Sports 910 from the Wild West Valley. How are we feeling on this Monday? Ben Garcia.
I am so good. The Suns smacked up on the Mavericks last night. They've got the Lakers going in tonight. The Cardinals won another game. It is so good to be an Arizona sports fan right now. We don't get this a lot. I am relishing every second of it. And what would just top it off is a good beatdown of the Lakers, which we'll get to later.
We will get to what needs to change, big picture, in order to beat that Lakers team that stole the Suns' lunch on Friday night in a comeback. But we'll start on something a little more specific that I think we would agree also probably needs to change here before long, Ben, which is that Book has had a strange start to the season. Devin Booker, not the guy we are accustomed to seeing through 3 games, kind of no matter how you slice it. I think that Book, his numbers are down. His defense has been lacking, to say the least. His just overall involvement hasn't really been there like we're used to seeing, Ben. What is your big picture perspective, having seen 3 games as this guy tries to adjust to a new head coach and everything else going on?
Well, first, just with the positive when it comes to Devin Booker, one of the things that we really needed to see was Devin Booker shoot the ball from three-point land a little bit better. It's 3 games, but he's averaging the most attempts he's ever been in since he's been in the NBA, and he's shooting 43%. So, like, that right there shows me it's just an adjustment period for Devin Booker. It's moving more from the mid-range assassin style of things where he's just not being as aggressive shooting the basketball in some of the spots where he's comfortable with doing. You know, I always want to throw this out there right now. Don't panic with Devin Booker. He's going to be fine. I just genuinely think it's an adjustment period for him. There's some things that we've seen where it's a little bit of timidness. The one thing that really worries me, and I guess I use that word so loosely, is the defensive side of the ball where, you know, Team USA's calling card was being the guy, the defender, the I'll do it, and he was really good. Last night was in the right direction for Devin Booker defensively against the Mavericks. I didn't think he was bad last night. I didn't think he was exceptional. But even late in the game, he had that steal where he ripped it away for, I can't remember, on the wing side of the court. And that is the one thing that does worry me, is the defense isn't there. I don't know if this is so stupid, but I don't know if it's playing himself into shape, which I don't agree with either, but that's the only thing that would make sense. I just think it just comes down to it's a new offense. He's adjusting, and there's a little bit of timidness given the fact that Kevin Durant has been so bleeping outstanding, and Bradley Beal has been so bleeping outstanding. Devin Booker, being the willing star that he is, has kind of taken a step back, and I think that has made him a little timid from shooting shots. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know if it's so much intentional. I don't think he's choosing to take a step, let those guys take center stage or whatever. I think it is far more that adjustment side of things. I feel like right now to me, Devin Booker is thinking too much. He's not being aggressive or physical. And that kind of means something different with Book than other guys, right? It's not like the Derrick Rose version of physical where he's just throwing his body around and flying around the court, but there's a get a guy on your hip, needle and poke the defense, get to your spot and bully the man that's guarding you. That has just not been there for Book. And maybe you're right that it's partially that he's trying to adjust his shot diet. And I have some numbers as far as how he's being used and what kinds of shots he's taking that we can go through in the next segment that I think explain a little bit of this a little bit better. But I think he's going to be fine if he can just get back to being Devin Booker. And it's like right now, Ben, he's Olympic Book without the defense. He's kind of like this ball mover, 3-point shooter guy, and they're winning. So like to your point, I'm not going to freak out about something that's happening where the team is still 2-1 and they're still, competitive in every quarter, like you said last night as we were recapping that Mavs game. It's not the sky is falling, but it's just so strange from a guy that you could just pencil in for 25, 5 and 5 every night at least, and all this stuff that we've gotten used to. He just seems very out of sorts, and I really do think he is just thinking way too much right now.
Yeah, Devin Booker is shooting a career low 3 games this season, 14 shots a game. I mean, to put that in perspective, last year he was shooting 19 shots a game. That's where I do think, and we agree there, a little bit of timid, a little bit of the aggressiveness as well with Devin Booker, not being able to just command the offense and take the ball and shoot shots that he's willing to take. The problem is, I do think that there is truth to this, which is the Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal aspect, where Kevin Durant has been nuclear, good, and efficient since the third quarter of the Clippers game. And Bradley Beal, when he played, was really good. Like, I do think the Olympic Devin Booker comp is so good. Because what Devin Booker did in the Olympics was, I don't need to be that guy. I'll step in and make a couple of shots here and there. Like, I do think he is Olympic Devin Booker with some of the shot choices and kind of waiting his turn. But his ability to shoot the 3-ball, man, just shows me, again, 3 games, that it's not something's broken. It's not Mikal Bridges. It's not a hitch in his shot. It's just something that's going to come with time. And I think another thing that you had said puts it really, really well. He is overthinking the game on a multitude of aspects where this offense, he's used to having the ball in his hand all the time. Now, that has kind of been an adjustment period. Tyus Jones is bringing that ball up, and there's no more point Book aspect. And to a point, he's kind of become a spot-up shooter, which is, again, shows how good he's been shooting the 3-point ball.
Yeah, but I mean, he played with Rubio and Chris Paul. I mean, that shouldn't
years
be
ago, man.
Massive. I mean, not really. It was last season was the only year in the past 5 where he didn't have one of those guys on his team, and now it's back to that. So I don't think.
Oh my goodness, you're right. Oh my god, that was. Right.
It's like
feels like it's been 3 years since we've had Chris Paul.
That's what's sort of strange to me about it is we've seen him do it in so many different ways. So it's just a little strange that this adjustment is hitting him so hard. But again, like we're trying to pump the brakes to a degree. It's 3 games.
It is 3 games. There is, though, before I really backtrack, because it just feels like at minimum 2 years they haven't had Chris Paul. But then you really think about it, they barely lost in that Nuggets series a year and a half ago, which is the last time they had Chris Paul, except for the fact he got injured in that series. But Chris Paul, again, was playing with that Devin Booker style of thing where he was able to do that. But last year was such an adjustment going from Chris Paul and Ricky Rubio years ago, where he was playing with these traditional point guards, where last year he was asked at times to be the point guard, him and Bradley Beal, until the last 12 games of the season. Maybe it is an adjustment, man. Maybe it's a quick adjustment that he figures out, and it's just like riding a bike. Once he gets back on it, he'll figure it out. But Devin Booker having to go from being the ball dominant guy that he was last year to this year, it's a little bit of timidness. It's a little bit of overthinking. It's a little bit of being a team player. I'm not worried at all. The only thing I'm worried about genuinely is the defense. I do hope that
defense
comes.
They're
going to need that.
The defense has been genuinely bad, I would say.
Bad.
And I'm not going to hold him to that's just like what he is now. I tend to think the same thing is true on that end. He can overthink and over communicate. There's times where he's more worried about the whole shell of the defense and pointing and directing traffic of the team, that he'll get backdoor cut or suddenly not be quite in the right position. And I think he shoots himself in the foot by, you're not Rudy Gobert. You're not the anchor of this thing. You just got to do your job and maybe, communicate in film or at a timeout or something. And I think that gets in his way on defense too. So yeah, thinking too much, clearly the big problem right now. But let's get a little bit more specific. Like I said, I have some numbers that I think will help break down how that overthinking is showing up, and we can maybe start to toss out some ideas on how that all gets better coming up next. First, today's show is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle the NFL action all season long with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. I told you, drop a little money on the Cardinals. If they pull it off, it's that much sweeter. And look, even if they miss that last-second field goal and can't cap off the win, they still covered. You still would have won the bet. Not saying listen to me for advice. I'm saying just do what feels right to you. Do what feels right in your soul. If you win, you get $150 in bonus bets. So really what that means is find the biggest possible minus odds you can find and just win it and then get going from there. All at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Ben, let's keep it rolling. I got some numbers for you. You ready? Okay, so
sorry, I'm ready.
Devin,
I was muting myself.
You were so ready for me to give you numbers that you were giving me the floor.
I was looking at my own statistics right here at the top of my computer, and I forgot my mic was muted because I don't like to talk when you're doing your ad read.
I want to remind everybody to sign up for the Locked On Suns daily newsletter, which will be coming out Monday afternoon for everybody here listening. Beat the Kings fans, beat those Lakers fans. Let's beat them, and then let the Suns beat the actual team here by clicking the link in the show description below or going to lockedondaily.com. You get all the news, analysis, and keep up with the show all in one place in your inbox every day. It's a great product. We're putting a lot of work into it here on the network, and we got to beat all the other fan bases to show that the Suns fans know what's up. All right, Ben. So I have some shot diet numbers and some play type numbers. I'll just go through them quickly. Last season, 20% of booked shots came in transition, or scoring possessions, let's call it, okay? And 31% of his scoring possessions were pick and roll ball handler. So a fifth of the time he was scoring in transition, about a third of the time he was running pick and roll. This year, both of those are at around a quarter. So that means he's scoring in transition a lot more, which is a good thing. We've been wanting to see him do that forever. That was part of what made him such a dominating force against the Clippers and the Nuggets in the 2023 playoffs, is that he was just a freight train when it came to fast break opportunities and things like that. He's also playing less pick and roll, but the same could be said for this entire team. This team is playing less pick and roll, and it's being distributed more evenly among who it is that's doing that, between Tyus, KD, Book, and Beal, all getting those opportunities. I would even throw Monte Morris in there, honestly. And then something you mentioned, which is that he's not taking a lot of mid-range shots right now. Nearly half of Book's shots have been threes. So I guess it's fair that he's adjusting, because he's literally playing differently than he has in the past.
1,000%. And that's something we had just mentioned 2 seconds ago, where it is a little bit of timidness, because there is a factor of Devin Booker is just not taking over like we think he should. And that is going to come. There was a little bit of worry last night on social media that I saw. No one super panicking, but everyone just mentioning, hey, this is a thing. The timidness is a thing for Booker, but we had mentioned a million times on this show, they've got to get on transition. They've got to run. They've got to be able to put up threes. Devin Booker is literally doing that. It's just taking a little bit more time for him to get acclimated. Once Booker's name is called and he has to be the second best guy, like, I would not be surprised tomorrow if Booker has 40 points or when they play the Lakers at this point when it's coming out tonight, that he has 40 points. Like, he's going to do that. It's just his ability to be able to work through the offense. I do think that with the high screens that they're setting, like with Bradley Beal or with Kevin Durant, I do wonder how much of that suits Devin Booker's play style, because I don't think Devin Booker is necessarily a super quick player. And that is a lot of that is the ability to move around the guy, get a half second with the screen, and get in front of the defender.
When he's the ball handler or when he's the
when he's the ball handler? Yes, when he's the ball handler, not when he's the screener. I guess I should have mentioned that. But whenever he has the ball, it does seem like that doesn't necessarily play to his strengths in terms of how fast that is, like getting to the rim. And yesterday, a little bit of that we did see. He got to the line a bunch of times, and that's part of his game that we feel like he hasn't really gotten before. But that's just kind of what I mean. It's just the timidness, the Devin Booker, the ability to be able to shoot the basketball from where he feels comfortable being, and not so much as being a statue. Oftentimes last night, I noticed twice last night when he was running out in transition, and instead of looking, he immediately knew he was chucking up a three. Maybe that's just the game plan. Maybe they just need to give him the ball more. Maybe this isn't so much a Devin Booker issue as this is a Budenholzer and KD, and they just got to focus on getting Booker his shots. Because last night before halftime, if I'm not mistaken, Booker had less than 5 shots. Like, that's not sustainable. And when it comes up, when he gets his opportunities, it's gonna work out.
Yeah, so I don't think it's so much getting the ball more. I think he has the ball just as much. I just think it's how. And you mentioned pick and roll. I mean, I just read the numbers. I think playing less pick and roll is part of what's in his head. I think playing pick and roll that's Book's game. I mean, the idea that he shouldn't be doing that or can't do that feels kind of crazy. That's what his bread and butter is.
No. I guess that was a little overstated. I mean it to the ability of getting to the rim with Booker, easy shots. And I mean that because a lot of the times what Booker likes to do is he gets a guy on his hip so well, and it's a little methodical, and be able to get points through that way. A little too much hero ball, where now he's adjusting differently to where this is an orchestrated offense, and the offense is just being played a little bit differently. That's what I mean by that. Not that Devin Booker isn't good at it.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay.
It's just more
that
methodical.
Feels fair. I think that he has had that problem his entire career, which is the fact that he basically, when he gets to his absolute peak, it is because he's either a killer pulling up from 3 or he is a killer getting to the basket. When he's doing neither of those consistently, he's very, very good, but not, guy getting MVP votes. That's another step forward from, I think, where we are right now. And where I think we are right now to get him from where he has been of a little bit timid and not as effective and not as involved is some of it is just be more aggressive. Like, just take shots when they're there. I think that's a reality. And there's going to be a balance, I think, to this offense that is going to be different than what Book has ever dealt with, partially because they're just a deeper team and partially because that's just how Bud kind of wants to play. It feels like right now KD is the only player who is sort of getting spoon-fed opportunities to score, whereas 1000%. Everybody else, it's going to be night to night. It's going to be a little bit based on who's hot or just the flow of the game, the matchup, or, again, who decides to be aggressive. I think that there could be a case to be made that maybe one thing you could try to do is to have Book in lineups where he can kind of be the solo act a little bit more. That's an easy thing to say. I don't have a great map of the rotation right now. Bud doesn't either. He's trying a lot of stuff. But I looked it up. Book has only played 12 minutes with both Beal and Durant off the court. So maybe you could turn the volume up on that a little bit in terms of the number of chances he's getting to just kind of be the number one option. And one really, I'll save the nerdy thing. What do you think of all of that? I have one last little nerdy point to make before we're done.
That was in my notes from last night, was Devin Booker not running with, not the bench unit, because that doesn't make any sense, because clearly he's ran with the bench unit, but being the primary guy where it's just him on the court, where I've talked about this Bradley Beal cooking thing, the 12 minutes without one of those guys either on the court, like, that's a huge thing. That allows Booker to get in rhythm. That allows those guys to sit on the bench and Booker to come in and get his shots, get his rhythm in. That is just another, it's just everything we talked about has just clearly just pointed to this and alluded to it's just going to take time. Budenholzer's figuring it out. Booker's figuring it out. And I don't think this is something where I've mentioned a million times on this show that it's going to take 15 games. I think it's going to take like 5 games. At max 5 games. I think they figure it out.
I think the figuring out of the hierarchy and kind of the what does it look like to make sure that Booker is getting those opportunities the same way that they're doing right now for Durant, that is something that could take a long portion of the season. And it matters because, it can't just be, you can't just sometimes get the best performances out of your second best player, your second all-NBA guy. The Celtics are only at their peak when Tatum and Brown both go off. You can go through the whole league and say that same thing. So what does it look like to make sure that Book is getting opportunities? Part of it's on him, part of it is on the structure. And I think when you talk about the lineups that he's in, whether Beal and Durant are out there or not, that was the nerdy thing I had was I was going through, I watched all of his shot attempts back and all of his turnovers again right before we recorded. And I think that there is a little bit of adjustment with one thing that Bud does that Vogel and Monty did not do, which is to have a big man or some kind of bigger player typically in the dunker spot along the baseline to crash the offensive glass and be a release valve on a drive as a finisher. The guy standing kind of along that baseline around the box. A lot of teams do it. Some teams don't. Monty preferred to have Ayton rolling to the basket and 4 guys spaced out from beyond that, right? Vogel would have Nurkic as a playmaker, spacing around that, sometimes even more spaced than what Monty had because there's no Ayton clogging things up like he did from time to time. Right now, even in plays where, Book screens for KD, Book gets the ball swinging out to the wing and has space to attack, there's an extra defensive player standing in the paint now. That's built into how the Suns want to play basketball. Yusuf Nurkic is just standing on the baseline, and Derek Lively is just planted at the restricted area, ready to protect the rim on whatever Book is going to do. And if you watch, a lot of his hesitancy, turnovers, poor shot attempts, second-guessing himself has come in that type of environment. For KD, he's just going to spin around and take a tough shot and make it anyway. He doesn't really care about the help. That's what makes Kevin Durant Kevin Durant. He can look at that, pull up at the elbow, and make it over 2 guys just like he did at the final minutes of that Clippers game. Book, he's not 6'10", 7 feet tall. He doesn't have a 8'8" wingspan or whatever KD has. He's a little bit more thinking about it and having to make that adjustment. So to be as specific as possible, I think that is one of these, it's going to take time, it's going to be an adjustment things when we're trying to talk through what Book's, integration here with Bud's system is going to look like.
I'm throwing this right back to you because you are the basketball nerd when it comes to these kind of things. Do you think that's the right formula? Like we talked at the beginning of the year, and I said I was all in on the Kevin Durant's got to be the best player. Can't remember if you were all in on Devin Booker's got to be the best player. Is this the formula for a championship? Because that's all anyone cares about.
Well, if anyone knew the answer to that, I think they would be. It would either be working to perfection.
Like that's what we do. But we project, right? Is that what you think? Because this is what I've always thought. Kevin Durant's got to be the number 1 and best option on the team, not 1B. Booker can be 1B. We can argue that as well. Is this offense, this style of offense, Kevin Durant being the 1, and clearly the 1, is that a recipe for a championship? Like we have to project that, right? Like that's what we do.
Yeah, but that's not really what I'm not talking about number 1 versus number 2. I'm just talking about kind of what the court looks like when Book is being put into position to score, whether it's the first option in a possession, the second option, whether he's the only star out there, not the only star, whether it's playing with pace or slowing it down. I'm just saying the way that he is sort of what he's seeing when he's operating, when he's cooking, when he's in his rhythm is different than it used to be. That's all I'm saying. So as far as if that is the right recipe, obviously, I think the modern NBA tells us if you play 5 out and you have Kristaps Porzingis to bomb from 32 feet and you have guys to drive and kick off of that, of course that's the best thing. The Suns don't have that. A lot of teams don't have that. So it's about, okay, well, Nurk's going to get some offensive rebounds if he's standing near the basket. That's a plus. He's going to be a release valve so that you can block out some of the defensive pressure. That's a good thing. But If Book continues to struggle dealing with that extra defensive attention, then yeah, you got to reset. But, the other thing is Nurk's not making any of his threes. So that floor spacing option, it's kind of
That's
the best
something
Bud can do with those centers on the court right now. You
something
got
we
to
got
put
to
them
talk about at some
somewhere.
point.
Bud puts them on the baseline, and Book just needs to kind of get used to it. All right, next, what can the Suns do beyond Book getting right to beat the Lakers and get sweet, sweet revenge at home on Monday night? We'll get there next. First, today's show is brought to you by the Gametime app. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets, whether it is sports or concert or comedy or theater. Gametime has you covered, and those Gametime Picks curate the best value deals for you. Whether you're in a city and you're just saying, show me what I should be doing this weekend, please, Gametime. Or you already know, hey, I want to see Caleb Williams come to Phoenix next week. What is the best deal at State Farm Stadium for the Cardinals game? Either way, it's going to show you at the top of the app without even doing anything. Here's what you should buy if you just want to get in the door, have a good time, and save some money. They also have their seat views and lowest price guarantee and all-in pricing and more that they've always had to make it as smooth a process as possible over at Gametime. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA when you do to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. All right, Ben, we talked through Book quite a bit. We'll get some rapid-fire thoughts out of the way here as to how the Suns can beat the Lakers. What comes to your mind first? They collapse down the stretch. J.J. Redick's post-game locker room speech is everybody's favorite thing to retweet on the internet now. Everybody's feeling like the Lakers just conquered the Suns. What has to happen to flip that switch back in the other direction on Monday?
Yeah, it's just be more consistent with this team. Like at the very bare minimum, they have to be consistent. And they were in the third quarter. They opened up that first quarter and that second quarter against the Lakers, playing very well and upbeat as you go back and watch that game. And then the third quarter and in the fourth quarter, they just got demolished. And a lot of the things as well, it comes to like ultimately the rebounding where, yes, the Lakers only won this 37-34, but it just felt like every board that mattered the Lakers were getting, and it just felt backbreaking. And another thing is, you have to limit the stupid fouls. The Lakers are going to foul you to death, and Suns fans are going to say, well, 39 shot attempts to 17 attempts. That's the Lakers' identity. They get to the free throw line. If you defend more effectively and not commit stupid fouls, I'm looking at you, Yusuf Nurkic. I'm looking at you, rookies. Not necessarily Ryan Dem, but at times whoever it can be. Like, just got to be smarter. This team is better than the Lakers. Like on paper, they're just better. Matchup-wise, this is a really tough matchup for the Suns. It's why I picked the Lakers to beat them on Friday, because the size advantage, they can just go jumbo on you, man. Anthony Davis is big. LeBron James is big. Rui Hachimura is big. And guys like Austin Reeves play bigger than he is. It's a physical team. It's tough for the Suns, but they're coming to Phoenix this time after blowing a lead. We're probably not meaning to give predictions right now, but I do like the Suns to come back and bounce back in this game, especially from what I saw in that Mavericks game. It's starting to look like things are starting to click and things are starting to look a little bit more fluid on this offense. That third quarter yesterday, we were kind of like, all right, let's talk about it. Is this an issue? Yesterday, it wasn't an issue. That's a good Dallas Mavericks team that I think is better than the Lakers. So be better on the boards, and a lot of that is just effort, and limit the stupid fouls. Anthony Davis is going to get a whistle. LeBron James is going to get a whistle. Everyone else just got to be better defensively. Just got to be better defensively. It's all it is. Get up in front of guys, keep them out of the paint, make them chuck up threes, challenge them to hit those, and you should be fine. You should be fine in this game. Hard matchup, though.
Yeah, the offense to me is going to be fine. I don't think this Lakers defense is very good. I think that the Suns, it's obviously everybody's going to say, what about Anthony Davis? Yeah, Anthony Davis is one of the best 5 defenders in the world. He's the only plus defender on this team. So that doesn't worry me. I think if the Suns don't shoot themselves in the foot with the turnovers, if Nurk continues to he's not going to have the same type of game that he did against Dallas, because he's not going to score in the post against Davis the way that he was able to against Lively and Gafford, and the Lakers aren't going to go tiny the way that Dallas did with Kleba at center. They don't really have a lineup to do that if they wanted to, so it's not going to be the same type of thing. But if Nurk can just be effective on the glass, be a screen setter, maybe it's a lower minute game for him. He was actively destructive in that Friday game. He just can't be that.
He's bad.
And I think the offense will be fine. To me, it's all about the defense, and it is particularly about transition defense. The Suns have had leaky transition defense all season, but it was especially bad in this game. Fast break points for the Lakers was 28. That's ugly. Points off turnovers, 26. And obviously those go hand in hand. If you're turning the ball over, the other team's going to score. I get that, but even in situations where the Suns had guys back, they were not set when they needed to be. And the other one is just ball screen defense. The Lakers, JJ Redick is running some interesting stuff here. He's using all 5 guys on the court as playmaking options and shooting options, and really making you work. The Suns were bad with their switching. They were, not getting hands up on pull-up three-point shooters, whether that was Russell or Reeves or LeBron had 2 in a row right in Beal's face in the third to start out the third quarter. Those miscues can kill you when the Lakers are intentionally being a little bit more unpredictable in terms of how they play. It's not just LeBron, dribbling the ball up and going to work anymore. They're a tougher team to guard. So yeah, I would imagine it's nice to play them 3 days later when that film is still fresh in your mind. But if the Suns are as, frankly, lackluster in terms of the focus on defense again, they will lose again. They got to clean that up, and this game will test them.
A lot of that was just a lack of focus. There should never be a game where you're up 22 points and then at one point in the game you get down by 12 or 12, 123, 116. Yeah. And at one point in that game they were down by 12 points. That's a 30-point swing. That's something that can't happen. You got to step on teams' throats. And at times you have to know, listen, you could shoot all the threes you want. You're up by 20-something points. You don't have to continue to take increasingly harder percentage shots. Get to the rim, get to the foul line, step on a team's throat, demoralize them. Do that. I'm not going to crush the Suns for losing.
I do think that the Suns got hot early, more so than their offense was like some kind of supernova. Yeah, 38 and a quarter, unless you're the KD Nets or something like that, that's not going to happen unless you get a little bit hot. So they, I think it was a little bit getting out of what was working, and I think it was a little bit of regression to the mean, and then the defense just kind of lost it for them. So consistent game like we saw against Dallas, they get it done. I think that we're in agreement there. That'll wrap us up. Hit follow, subscribe. We'll be back with you post-game on Monday night for another show. Become an everydayer. Don't forget to click that link in the show description below to sign up for our daily newsletter, or type Locked On Daily into your browser for that. Enjoy your Monday. We'll talk to you later.